say that for it.
Too late, Gary.
That's true.
Sunday.
No, I was hoping she would.
Well, good as, June
She's out this week because her son is having.
Yeah, I was impressed.
some medical issues. Is there a deadline? Because the community is approved for events, right?
If they want to be electronic cards,
Right.
t-shirts.
Which I would imagine is what they would be hoping for, so give me the drop dead date so I can get her a week earlier.
Is
and
it
be
video
like-
on camera?
I'm sorry,
Is it on yet?
Okay, okay.
So, I mean, you can get it after.
So we'll call the meeting to order, maybe a few more people starting in, but we'll start. So, roll call, got it? There is a modification to the agenda, Ashley, you want to make that motion? We had handed out the memo from the executive committee regarding a change to our executive director's compensation for the next fiscal year. We need to discuss that, so if somebody could add that to the agenda.
Where do you want it added under executive?
Oh, I'm sorry,
committee?
E2.
Okay, I move that we add the memorandum passed out today to E2 of the agenda.
So is there a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
So moved.
So if she's moving, we need support, so you're
Support.
supporting.
Oh,
So
there
there
we
we
go.
go.
Great,
Okay,
any
so-
discussion about adding it to the agenda?
Okay.
Good morning. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to public comments. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to the board regarding any issue?
Greetings, my name is Brad Hagan. I'm County Commissioner for District 4. I represent the city of Lapeer. Really simple why I'm here. I'm asking that you guys keep the status quo and not capture on the veterans millage. As it stands now, you capture on 5 of the 6. I don't think the $2,100 that you guys would get from the veterans would be worth it for you guys to capture. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak during public comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from last month, as well as the treasurer's report and the listing?
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the executive committee, the first item on the agenda there is the fiscal year 24-25 proposed operating budget, and that is attached in your packet. The word is
Towards the
actually-
very end. It's just before Jim's report.
Yeah, thank you. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to review that budget. It does, I guess maybe I should have done the other way around with the proposed compensation for Jim, because we really need to determine what we're doing with that before we actually determine the budget. So actually, if we could hold off and actually address the memo that I prepared based upon the executive committee meeting on April 12th. This proposal is based upon, it's actually 6% increase. It's based upon a cost of living increase of 3.2%, which is what, if you look up on the federal website, that's what it was. And a merit increase of 2.8% to be effective not till July 1, 2024. And then I just kind of listed some of the things that the committee wanted to note regarding the merit. That we were determined to be the organization of the year through Michigan Main Street. We are, Mr. Albright, our spring conference to Lapeer this year. We've received the Vibrancy Grant. We've received many grants for our downtown businesses. And I'm sure I'm not covering all of them, but maybe if you want to add to that, Ashley or Megan. There are obviously a lot of things that he's brought. We also reviewed like-kind Main Street communities for population size of their particular city compared to Lapeer being the same. And there were approximately 6 communities that were like ours in regards to population for the city. So between 9 and 12,000 And from those communities, we obviously are at 51,185. One community, which was Farmington Hills, was 800,000. I don't know how they paid their executive director that, but that's what it said. The other communities, there was one community which was St. Joseph. They were at 40,000. So they were obviously significantly lower than where we're at. But all the other communities were either, one was 55,000 and then the other three were like 60 and 65,000. So just kind of looking at where, Jim is regarding his compensation for the year. So this is, and we had figured it out. Do you recall what this would put him at? The 6% increase? We had figured it out and I can't recall the number. I think it was.
He's 51, what currently?
51,185. So if we added 6% to that. And it was around 55, but I can't remember the number.
54,256.
Okay. So it would be approximately a little over $3,000 increase for the year. We thought this was appropriate. Obviously, this is our recommendation to the board. We also recommend that Jim's stipend for medical insurance be increased from $690 to $722. That's based upon an increase in his medical insurance premium this year. And obviously, we would need documentation to support that. And then we're also recommending that we provide an additional stipend for dental and vision insurance. Those are usually pretty small as it goes, but we obviously would need to have Jim reach out to the marketplace and determine, the best rate for, decent insurance in the marketplace and provide us that documentation before we would obviously know the numbers. But that's what the recommendation is from the executive committee. So I'd like to open it up to any discussion from the board as to your thoughts on this issue.
I just had one thought, and I have no problem overall with any of this at all. But I know last year when we kind of ran through these benefits after talking about it for a year, looking at the health insurance, the difference in cost between what Jim bought and what the next higher deductible was. If we had made an agreement to cover that difference in deductible, we would have saved about $1,600 in premium. And so I think we should look at that. I mean, $1,600 is $1,600. Might not be the same this year, but essentially, for lay persons, if you've got $1,000 deductible and the premium's $100, and you go to a $1,500 deductible and the premium's $50, you're saving that $50 and you're making the agreement with the employee that you're going to cover that difference in deductible. So the employee's out-of-pocket costs are exactly the same. The entity, us, we save money. So.
Would that be the same exact insurance coverage though?
Yeah,
It would be,
yeah.
It'd be the
Just
exact higher
bump the
deductible.
deductible.
Okay.
Would you want to pay that difference in deductible out, like spread it out between the paychecks and like how do you?
No, as he incurs it.
Okay,
As I recall, when I talked to Jim, he rarely, if ever, uses it at all. So really, at that point, we were kind of flushing $1,500 down the toilet.
so then he would just, if he maxed out the
He
old
maxes
deductible, he
out,
would turn
then
in
we
the
pay.
bills and we would.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do recall that conversation, Tim, last year, and I guess we didn't think about that during our conversation. So are there any other items of discussion regarding this package? All right.
I would just say that I think because like you said, you don't know what it is this year, I would say we would want to look into what the difference in price is between the two plans before making a final decision on that.
Right. So I think we could agree to the concept that we would obviously agree to obviously continue the medical. It would just be a matter of how we cover it.
Right.
So is everybody else okay with the other recommendations? If there is no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve this proposed.
Do we know what the dental and vision is gonna be?
We don't.
Because we don't know what the first one's gonna be.
Right, we're just gonna have to approve the concept of covering, but it would just be a matter of him providing us documentation from the marketplace as to what that cost would be.
The
So-
dental will be about $60 a month, maybe,
Yeah,
and the vision
a few
minimal,
bucks.
couple bucks,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, they're really pretty minimal.
Now, are you able to make changes and add like dental and vision on the marketplace outside of the open enrollment period?
I don't have a marketplace.
Oh, you don't? Okay,
I went through Blue Cross Blue Shield.
okay.
That's the gold plan. I think the dental and vision, I believe you can add.
that. Totally outside of
Okay.
enrollment.
All right, so on the condition that we get those back, is there a motion to approve the 6% increase beginning effective July 1 of 2024? And then again, getting that information regarding his medical premiums and the information on the dental and vision insurance. Is there a motion to approve all that going forward on effective July 1?
I motion.
Is there support?
Support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, now going back to our budget.
Do you want me to go through the lines?
Yeah, I think
Updated?
so. I think that would be good.
So your budget's in your packet. I'm just going to go through the changes that the executive committee recommend for this year. Starting with income side. The first increase you're going to see is under taxes. That's a yearly change. We get that number from the city of Lapeer. Donations is going to be the next change, and we upped that to $1,500 this year. In the past, we always budgeted $1,500 to give to the Parks Department for flowers in and around the downtown area. And we continue to do that, but we stopped reaching out for donations for that. But we decided, let's focus on that again. Let's see if we can get that covered through donations. So we added that $1,500 back on. And I did make a tweak to our sponsorship package and add a beautification line item for that sponsorship package. The next one, grant income, we kept that at $25,000, hoping for another match on main grant. We did submit 2 applications this round. No guarantee on those, but we do hope that we'll be able to get one of those. The next one is donations for Main Street. We kept that at $6,500. Part of that would be done through an annual giving campaign. The other part that we want to look at for that is if we are hosting the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference next year, part of that is obtaining a minimum of $4,000 in sponsorships. Now, they would work with us on that, but we wanted to make sure that that was reflected as well. And then special events, we increased a little bit to $35,000. That reflects not only the events that we do, Car Cruise, Ladies Night, Winterfest, etc., but also recognizing that we need to do a sponsorship recognition gala and a volunteer recognition gala. So the outreach committee will need to get started on that, but understanding that there would be a cost that goes into that as well. So any questions on the income side? On the expense side, first increase was under legal fees. And that is, we did a $1,000 increase on that because we will be renewing or amending and renewing our development plan and TIF plan this year. And so there's going to be legal costs that go into that as well. So we wanted to make sure we were covered there. The other increase, which is one of the larger increases under the design committee. So part of that, we went from $900 this current fiscal year to $8,500. The reason for that is, one, we are hoping to, well, our transformation strategy is arts and culture. So The 8,500 gives us the ability to continue to add either like a mural or some kind of public art each year. And then also, I'm working on a project with the city and the library called Nature on Nepison Street that would potentially add sculptures to the downtown area based off of popular children's books. So the city has earmarked 5,000 for that project. So my request was the DDA look at matching that 5,000 for it. And then also looking at our sign assistance grant and being able to support that program more and focus on projection signs for the downtown as well. And increase the amount from $300 to $500 for those grants. The next one, downtown grants, keeping that at 25,000 just to reflect the possibility of a match on Main. And then Main Street program, we've increased that from 12,000 to 16,000. That would reflect hosting the CEC conference next year for 2025. And also make sure that we can still send a couple representatives to the national conference or some of the in-state conferences. Property maintenance kept at 5,000, CIP fund stays at 10,000. Wages and payroll, obviously there will be an increase there. I don't have the new
So
number.
my recommendation on that would be that it's at 88,000 we're proposing. Obviously, adding the $3,071.10 for the increase in salary would make it $91,071.10. And then we could just do a budget amendment, I think, when we get the information on the insurance, because I don't think we want to sit here and guess at what it's going to be. So that would be my, yeah. I don't know if anybody else has any other ideas with that.
I know we had discussed increase for Jill. Was that in there as well?
I think that's already in
Yeah,
here.
that's the
Yeah,
increase, yeah.
that $2 increase, yes.
Community promotion, we bumped up slightly to 1,700. That covers Porta-John for farmers markets, although I do have an update on that outreach committee. Special events and promotion, we have at 30,000. That reflects the current events that we have, but then also that sponsor recognition and volunteer recognition event. Programming services with the CFA, that is a $5,000 reduction, but that's based on what the city provides for that programming, which is why you see that there. So, any questions on income or expense side?
Okay, if there are no questions, is there a motion to approve the 24-25 budget?
So move.
Support.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to our committee reports. The first one is the outreach committee. Jeff couldn't be here today, but.
I do have just a few quick updates on that. So I did sent out the sponsorship opportunities to the downtown businesses. And got a tentative agreement from Kim Tai, do a gold level sponsorship. Pat Cronin's office is going to do a sponsorship. We're going to connect to kind of figure out the best level for him. But also had a great meeting with Jay Septic, and they're going to do a $5,000 sponsorship for us. So that we have Porta-Johns not only for car cruise, concert series, farmers market, but they'll also cover in for bike night and all the events downtown. So they're going to do a $5,000 sponsorship for that. And that they kind of figured the cost is going to be about $4,800 for Porta-Johns, so that offsets.
So it's an in-kind.
So they gave us a check for $5,000, and then they'll bill us and we'll issue them checks back for it on a monthly basis. But at the end of the day, we'll still come out a little bit ahead for that. And then, of course, our continuing partnership with Avery's and Essential Necessities. We are waiting to hear back on a few others. But as always, if you know of any potential partners, sponsors, please let us know. So that's all I have for outreach.
Okay, Business Development Committee.
Our meeting this month was, we had 3 applicants for grants, and they were all good, worthy causes. We had 2 we could approve, and we approved, and these we aren't giving the grants, we're recommending the grants go to the state, and then they decide who gets a grant. So we could get 2 grants, we could get no grants, we could get 1 grant. So in any event, we recommended Cummings Chiropractic that's coming downtown and Lapeer Teamworks. We thought those were the 2 best applicants. And one of the other applicant, Whitney, was, they fit the arts strategy, but there was some question as far as where some of the money was going. It wasn't all going towards something that would normally be a grant issue. And, we decided we wanted to try to pick the 2 that had the most likely chance of eventually getting a grant. So those were the 2. And then we had our morning wake up coffee time, which I had to miss, but it seems that every month our attendance gets better and better. So for those of you that haven't made it, it's a pretty good time. It goes quick, and the coffee's pretty good.
So just to add on to the coffee, the business networking thing, Rise and Shine Lapeer. So this past month, we had Janice Mueller from the SBDC talking about updates and opportunities through to them. And one of the pluses from that is, so our other applicant, Whitney, was able to connect with them, and they're going to utilize their resources to address some of the questions that we had on their application, so that they can continue to work and move forward. And we were also joined by Representative Phil Green this past month as well, who made it a point to kind of stop base and check in as well. But we had about 30 participants this month. And
That's a really good
continue to
turnout.
grow steadily. Yep, next month we're going to focus on social media and marketing. The month after that, I believe we have Anthony from the Small Business Administration who will be joining us. So we're really putting together some good programs with the goal of being opportunities that businesses can learn from and grow their own business themselves.
That's great. Awesome, yeah. Okay, moving on to placemaking committee.
Placemaking committee did not meet this month. Just everybody's schedule just didn't quite work out, but I am going to be meeting with DPW to confirm final placement for our wayfinding signs for the downtown area. And then also just a really quick update. DPW is going to investigate some of the street lights next to Rogers Pharmacy. Those have flat, what looks like, I'm hoping are flat plugs in the post where banner brackets would be installed. I'm hoping that those can be removed. That would allow us to be able to add 5 more banners to our Hometown Hero banner program. So they're going to explore that, see if that's an option. Because if we can add 5 more banners, that's 5 more people that we can recognize and 5 less people that I have to disappoint when we're full.
All right, events committee.
The full events committee didn't meet this month. As some of you are probably aware, hopefully, that we decided instead of having a full committee-wide meeting every month, we would meet quarterly and review our events. And in the meantime, each committee would have their own meetings, and so it's just a lot simpler. It was kind of, when it was a full committee, it was kind of like herding cats. We couldn't get a whole lot done.
We did meet though, right?
So
This month?
We did have an April meeting. I think you were out of town when we had it, because it was our quarterly.
Oh,
meeting.
it was?
our quarterly.
there you go.
Yeah. But the main updates, in May, we have our car cruise starting and we have ladies night out. Car cruise is May 6th. That's our first cruise of the season. I will be out of town and Jill will be out of town. I've got volunteers that can cover the driver's tickets, the driver's giveaway, the 50/50s. What I need volunteers for is to help set up the tents and the tables. And then who can also help take them down at the end of the night and put up the barricades at 5 o'clock and take them down at the end of the night as well. The volunteers we have that do the giveaways, the driver tickets, they're not able to do the heavy lifting aspect of it. So I need some people who can help out at the start, set everything up between 4:30 and 5, and then take everything down at the conclusion of the night, which is typically for the first cruise between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
And you need to fill every single night, Monday through Friday, or, no, it's
But
Mondays.
just Monday for the
You just need
conference.
Mondays, so it's just for that
Just
one
for
night.
that week.
Okay.
I can help, and bring Jimmy to do set up.
Okay.
But I have to be up super early the next day, so if we could find someone to tear down, that would be helpful.
I can actually help. I'll bring my husband.
Okay.
I'll tear down.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have no subcommittee business under other reports, Center for the Arts. Jill?
The Catherine Bailey Show in Gallery 194 is there until the end of the week. If you haven't had an opportunity, I recommend you come and see this beautiful show. Next week, Lapeer Art Association will open its annual spring show. The show is always a great variety of art and artists, an excellent way to support community artists because everyone is from the Lapeer area. In the month of April, there were 42 patrons participating in art classes. That number is down from March. April was a challenging month in terms of getting both instructors and patrons. The nice weather hindered that. The gift shop continues to receive new merchandise. If you're looking for a unique gift for someone, come check it out. Mother's Day is on May 12th. In the PIX was very busy in April. All the shows that we had did really well. Avomania was very close to a sellout. There were a few stray tickets, so I can't say it was a complete sellout. Assisted living, this was the first time we've had a Sunday matinee, and this one was targeted towards our older audience and was a big hit. We only had 40 tickets left, which for a Sunday matinee is kind of amazing. And for the first time, this past Wednesday, the Silver Series sold over 100 tickets, and that was for Aaron Jonah Lewis, which is fantastic. On Saturday, we held the auditions for the youth theater, and we had 40 kids come to audition, which
Wow.
is amazing. So things are going really well there. I've given you all a postcard with the PIC summer season. It has been announced. We've been working with the Bike Night Committee so that they will not close Nipissing Street in front of the PICs on the Friday nights that we have an event. On May 3rd, we have TJ Craven. He's performing a benefit concert to help us raise money for the Center for the Arts Endowment Fund with Lapeer County Community Foundation. Tickets are on sale now. There will also be an afterglow in the gallery following the performance. On May 4th, we're hosting a memorial celebration for John Loading in the PICS. And on May 10th, we have a play called With Love from Inside. This is a free event. It is put on by the University of Michigan. The play was written by University of Michigan students and people that have been incarcerated and are still on the inside. So it is about people that have been through that system. On May 11th, Generation Arts Group will have an afternoon improv session at 2:30 in the PICS. May 17th is Ladies' Night Out. The gallery will be the kickoff location for Ladies' Night Out, and the PICS will be where the winners are announced, so that they can go and sit down and not gather outside my office. There aren't enough seats in the gallery. Our youth theater group, Generation Arts, is working on a documentary about Oakdale. If you know of anyone that worked at Oakdale or had anything to do with Oakdale, they are, and is willing to be interviewed, they're looking for more people to interview about that. I've also given you the second and third quarter financial reports. And you may notice that if you look at the bottom, we're 2,612.51% income is up. That is due to a one-time donation that was given by my cousin. She settled her parents' estate and gave us a $100,000 donation that has been invested in a money market account so that we can, when we have the rough February marches, we will be able to access that money. So that's why it looks a little funky, and that money won't be there for the fourth quarter because it's going into the money market account. But we had to, with the help of the board, establish all of that, so. Okay. That, any questions? And in the ongoing saga of Jill and Ligorian Plumbing and Heating, we still do not have the new HVAC system. Last word I have is that they were getting permits to close Court Street and to run a crane to get the unit on the roof. That is all I know. Wait for my novel coming out. It exists for them, yes. It does not exist anywhere near our building.
Okay, thank you, Jill.
It is.
All right, moving on to staff report.
Just a few quick updates for you today. First and foremost, today is Administrative Professional Day. So I want to thank Kim for all the help that she gives us every year and throughout the year. I greatly appreciate it.
Make sure that's in the minutes, Kim.
And also, I know she's not here with us, but also our DDA assistant, Jill, as well, also works very hard to support us. The Match on Main grants, as Tim gave the update, we submitted 2 applications this year. There will only be this one round this year of Match on Main. Total, Michigan Main Street received 97 applicants. So it's a very competitive round. The most we can be awarded is 1 grant. We might not get any, but we'll wait and see how that pans out. Earlier this month at the city commission meeting, the question was asked about the fire site down the street. Just a quick update on that. Property owner on that, Tom Levanga, he and I have been working closely with the MEDC and their Development Ready Services team on that site. We have another meeting coming up on May 3rd, but we're exploring 2 main options for that. One would be long-term housing. The other one that we're considering is a boutique-style hotel. Understanding that we've hosted a conference this year, we're going to be hosting a conference next year. In the fall, we're going to be hosting the Michigan Downtown Association. The courthouse plays host to a lot of weddings. So having something like a boutique hotel could be a benefit to the downtown. Right now, when we host those events, they have to stay outside of the downtown area. But we also have to look at the costs, and that's where MEDC is helping us with those pro formas. We're also looking at the Opera House. And it is Tom's goal and vision to tie those 2 properties together, return the Opera House back to more of an event space, and then also return it back to more of a historic look. Taking down the green facade on the outside and going back to more like the cupolas or the prominent like window structures that were on it. So we have a meeting coming up with the MEDC to discuss that. And look at what programs might be able to support that, and then go from there. But I will keep everybody updated on that. Our website canceled. We are back on the website that we are maintaining ourselves. That was a struggle to get them to understand that them not providing updated contact information is an issue when we need updates. But that is a terminated contract, so we are no longer with them. I'm going to be applying for 2 grants through the National Endowment for the Arts that could potentially support the Nature on Nipissing Street project that I'm looking at with the city and with the library. Those grants could potentially be between $30,000 to $50,000. Because when we do, if we are able to do a program that creates sculptures in the downtown area, even small ones like we're looking at that would represent animals from children's books, they're expensive. Just for the bronze casting alone, you're looking at $2,400 to $3,000. and then you get into cost to support the artists. So our hope is that because this is a great partnership, it could be a good candidate for one of these art grants that they have. And in that same note, I'll be meeting with artist Laura Gabriel, who's on the board of directors for the Sculpture Guild of Michigan, this coming Friday, the 26th, to look at locations and talk to them about a partnership for that project. I'm also going to be hosting Laura Nichols from Blissfield Main Street. She was hoping to actually join us today to job shadow and kind of see how we're doing things here with our Main Street program. Unfortunately, she has a sick child at home, so she wasn't able to make the drive today. So we will connect after the national conference, so middle of May. And then just a reminder that the week of May 6th, both Joe and I will be out of the office because we will be at the national conference.
I had a question. So the volunteer sign-up sheet, I just want to make sure everybody's aware. Like, so do we have a copy of that so we know? Maybe
Next
just so
month,
that we need somebody to like fill in
I
for
think
some
in
reason
June,
and just know
I know
who's going to be
Yeah.
at the city commission level.
next month is Mindy. She is they're in Havana, Cuba at the moment. They're on their way back from that. And then following Mindy will be Ashley. And yeah, I don't have it.
And we're the
Everybody-
first Monday, right, not the third,
We are the first Monday. Yeah, there are a few gaps still, so I will send that out
Okay.
for everybody. I meant to bring it this morning and forgot.
And I did appear at the city commission and was able to provide hopefully helpful information to the commission. So it was painless. I mean, I probably talked for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So it's pretty easy. So just so you know, not a huge deal.
We don't jump down your throat.
Right, exactly.
We try and be kind.
You try to be kind, yes, you're very kind. Okay, moving on to new business, Veterans Millage. Did you want to share that or?
So the veterans have a millage proposal out there. And so they have sent a request to the DDA to not capture funds. In 2020, the DDA did make a motion to capture all future county millages. So I did respond to the county yesterday, like this is the motion that is made because they have to get their ballot language in place. At the end of the day, what we would capture from this millage would be about $2,100. It's not a significant millage on our end, but the question has been asked, do we intend to capture or not? And that is not a decision I can make. That is a decision that you, as the board, has to make. So, but I'm happy to answer questions or anything like that.
So, and just kind of as a backdrop, because obviously not everybody was here in 2020, we made that motion intending that we would capture on all future millages going forward. We were basically trying to have a level playing field, so we're not just picking one millage over another. So it was any future millages, new millages going forward. And this is not a renewal millage that the veterans is actually doing, which would be different than new. It is actually a new millage. So basically, it would be doing something different than what we agreed to do back in 2020. My initial thought here is that we want to, it's not a lot of money. It's not about, I don't think it's about the money. It's about the principle that we're capturing on all the millages. We're not providing preferential treatment for one millage over another. So if we were to capture the $2,100 for within our district, my thought was, depending on what we could work out between the county controller, the city manager, and potentially, Jim or I, somebody on this board, if there's a way for us to utilize that $2,100 and actually provide it back to our veterans within this district, like to give it back to the veterans. That I would hope there's a way for us to do that because obviously they're important and we want to recognize that, but I don't know whether we want to choose to pick one millage and not capture. And I think that could be a slippery slope for other villages going forward. So I don't know what everybody, that's just my thought process right now. It doesn't represent anybody else's here. I had talked to Brad. Brad actually approached me and discussed this issue. I appreciate that. I actually invited him to come to this morning to be a part of the discussion, or not part of the discussion, but hear what we're talking about. So I don't know what everybody's thoughts are on this.
Can we use it towards like Hometown Heroes banners? I know generally we pass on that cost, but could it be used for like maybe people who don't have money for the cost, that we could do like a sponsorship of flags for Hometown Heroes?
So I have an option on the Hometown Hero banners for people to sponsor
Okay.
banners. Every few years, I get maybe $100, $200. In the 5 years we've been doing it, I've had one person ask for support for that. So I don't know that
The need is
the
there.
need is
Well,
there.
and my understanding from the village that's being put on the ballot is that it's to provide services like counseling service, to pay for counseling services for veterans, to pay for transportation costs for veterans. I don't know if I know all of the expenses that they would like to provide. This money would be helpful, toward. But I would like to, see us utilize that money, maybe not for banners, but in a different way within our district to help veterans. And I don't know what that looks like, but I certainly would be willing, if the board wants to do this, to, again, collaborate with the county and the city to be able to do something with those monies that we capture. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I would comment that I think that there's another funding source that the local VA has here. Kirby talked to me about it a while ago, and it goes like, I don't remember exactly what it all goes for, but it's special services for some of the veterans. So maybe that conversation should happen on what their needs are, so that we can understand. I'm the one who actually is not in favor, but I'm gonna say that up front. But maybe to do it this way might be better, so.
So I think Colby was raising his hand.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were raising your hand to say something.
No, I am Pete Curley. I am the Director of Veterans Affairs.
Right. Okay.
Chris, did you?
Chris.
So is there another program?
So before you voted on voting for all millages, did you do it case by case prior to that?
You didn't capture anyone.
We didn't, prior to that, we had not captured anything.
Oh, anyway, okay.
Right.
So you just voted that you were gonna capture all of it at once, I see.
Well, to avoid this exact situation, that's why we voted to do it that way.
What's the problem with capturing and just giving it back?
So
So
that's what we're gonna do with everybody, if that's what we do with them.
I'm just curious.
So what we could do, so Mike and I talked about this, and Brad and I even talked about this as well, so this is a small millage capture on our end, right? It's $2,100, like Catherine was saying. We could capture and then refund it back, as opposed to doing like the share for it. Emily City is, I believe, doing something similar, but they're going to be sharing it with departments within downtown Emily City. Well, the Veterans Department that's within downtown Pier is the VA office. I talked with Mike about it, and I agree that we would want some kind of agreement from the county that they're not going to ask us to refund back all of the millages that we capture. Because some of those are a way to make sure that the money stay within the DDA. So like you're paying your taxes, it ensures that your tax dollars are getting spent in the downtown area. But I kind of agree with Catherine that I think it'd be beneficial if we were able to sit down with Pete, look at like what their needs are, maybe with Moses at the county, and kind of have a conversation to see what that partnership could look like.
Elizabeth?
What if we captured it, but to keep it relevant to the DDA, like created a grant for veteran-owned businesses in the DDA?
It's an idea.
It's an idea, but why are we in the middle of that when our Veterans Department handle what their needs are, instead of us creating something else and more work when they're already doing that?
I agree.
I just see us going back down a slippery slope. We made this decision in 2020 to avoid this conversation we're having right now. And I kind of disagree that $2,100 is insignificant. $2,100 is significant from the standpoint that before we started capturing millages, we were basically bankrupt.
It was significant then, I agree.
And it's only kind of not significant now because we are capturing these millages. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with, you know, and the veterans are definitely a worthwhile organization, there's no question about that. But, you know, I think we need to avoid this conversation on every millage. We've been doing this since 2020. And all it would take would be somebody say, well, the X is going to the DDA, so all we need to do is raise our millage request by 1/100th of a mill to cover that. This isn't a surprise. This has been going on for years now. And I just, we've heard this conversation and we need to avoid it. And I think we're also going down a slippery slope by saying we're gonna donate the money back. Well, why are we taking it in the first place? I don't have a problem with if the veterans come to us and say, hey, we've got this project, is there a way that, or we're doing this, is there a way that DDA can help support us with that? That's fine, but I just, you know, boy, we're just opening a huge can of worms here, I think. And going forward, we're gonna hear this on every single millage. And, you know, it's only been a year now where we've basically been a solvent operation.
Is that a
That's my-
motion I hear?
Huh?
Is that a motion I
I don't know
hear?
if we need a motion. I mean, because we already have a motion in place that says we capture on all
Right.
villages.
Okay.
So I don't think we could do anything if
Unless
we're
we-
not going to, unless we're gonna do something different. I think we can just say we've had the discussion
And I think this would open it up to, you know, anybody that we capture their millage to, you know, give them an avenue to say, hey, look, we're doing this or we're doing that, and the DDA chip in $500 or whatever.
I agree with him, honestly. It's a door I don't think we want to open because then we get in the business of picking and choosing, and that's such a rough spot to be in and creates resentment, you know.
You know, it's interesting too that you know, I think we're the only DDA that captures villages in the county. But if you go, before we start doing this, Jim went around and we did a lot of investigation on how other counties, how other DDAs, you know, handle this. And pretty much everybody captures these villages. You know, we were the anomaly that we weren't capturing villages.
Okay, is there any more discussion? All right, well, it is, unless there's a motion, I guess I'm gonna move on to old business. All right, moving
Well,
on.
could I just add something, and since Debbie's here, I want to throw this out. No, it's not bad. I've been needing to talk to Jim about this. For the second time in a week, there was a semi trying to take a left-hand turn off 21 onto Saginaw Street. And I go out that way quite often, and it's been very common where those semis get stuck and they can't make that turn because it's at an angle. And this one had held up traffic for like 5 minutes because cars had to move around and he was stuck and it was just a mess. And I'm just throwing it out there that I've seen this happen, you know, sometimes a couple, 3 times a week going out that way. Maybe the city could take a look at where we could make a recommendation that no trucks or something like that, but it's a mess.
Maybe, you know, I mean,
You can respond.
if people knew what the lines on the road mean.
That's true.
No, but it's at an angle. This one, they were all.
So they can do this, if the car gets over the line where they're supposed to stop.
Right.
That's what causes the problem.
Well, this one was the truck.
Well, let me just say this.
I know, but when they're trying to turn left and the car waiting at the light is too close to the light, he can't make the turn.
Yeah, in this case, they were all where they were supposed to be. He couldn't make that turn.
Okay, you
All right,
guys.
all right, all right. No conversation conversations, we're at a meeting.
Yeah, whatever.
I just want to
I'm
quickly
allowed
Is
respond.
there a motion?
I'm gonna respond. The
Okay.
best way and the fastest way to possibly correct or bring attention to a traffic order is to contact our police department, and our chief of police, Jeremy Hall, will look into it and see if it needs new signage or what needs to be done. So if you would make a contact call to them, that'd be great.
All right,
Because that's
That's why I
where,
brought
that's
up
where,
the
the
area.
that's where the city, I'm pretty sure that our city manager,
Okay.
then I'll, talk to chief of police.
all right, we have no old business. Are there any board member comments? All right, hearing none, we have no correspondence. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
Right.
Sure. What's your name? Second.
It needs to be on the ballot.
Back to the CEO meeting, made a conversation about.
Sure, Jody.
There was some-